Well, live on Ekrom Nsem on YouTube, on TikTok, and then of course on Facebook. Over corner ko subscribe, wa share and wa like it, amame. And I atana say countdown to the World Cup proper, the Mundial. Our 3 nations. Ya atana say from now, kopem say be start World Cup proper no. Aka 10 solid days to hit the first game of the World Cup. And ya atana say the countdown to the World Cup every single day. You be picking group by group, near discussing groups, near predicted teams are qualify along the line into the round of 32. Now, you didn't come on kakra. Where I am about the 2026 World Cup. I barely 10 days now. You the World Cup, so this is the first time 3 nations are hosting the World Cup ever in the World Cup history. And 3 nations, we have the United States of America, we have Mexico, and then of course we have Canada. This is the first time, as I've said, the first time in the history of the tournament, 3 nations are hosting World Cup. And also it is the first time I have 48 teams in the World Cup. Initially, you say 32, and the group stages now for the round of 16 about to us. So by this time around, we have 48 teams instead of 32 teams, and this is the first time a competition, and as a World Cup competition, a 48 World Cup competition, and then it's very clear. Now, because of the number of teams are abaninti and the 48, it means you have 12 groups. 12 groups, and each would have 4 teams, and per the FIFA at the other 2 and the channel say 12 groups now, team, and as a group be our 4 teams, only 2 teams can automatically advance from each group, nearby being a round of 32, and also the 8 best 3rd place teams, and so Ebekwa now you to me about being the round of 32, now you to me abo and so Eddie free tournament. This particular World Cup, no matter the team I was supporting, the team the bottom home, you bet me an opportunity to play in the round of 32 and sana ya benya the creme de la cremes of the World Cup proper kwakubui. Now if I'm to take you through the groups, group A, we have 4 teams in the medical canal. We have Mexico, we have South Africa, we have South Korea, and then we have Czechia. Now over group B, we have Canada, we have Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have Qatar, we have Switzerland as well. And then when you come to Group C, we have Brazil, we have Morocco, we have Haiti, we have Scotland. And then Group D, we have United States, we have Paraguay, we have Australia, we have Turkey as well. Now I'm taking you through the groups that we have Group B, these are the members in the group. Then we'll come to Group A, nearby be discussing Group A, then we'll take it from there. Over Group B, we have Germany, we have Curacao, and we have Ivory Coast and Ecuador. And of course, Group F, we have Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia as well. Over Group G, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand. We are members of Omo. Over Group H, we have Spain, Cape Verde, we have Saudi Arabia, we have Uruguay. And then Group I, we have France, Senegal, Iraq, and then Norway. And Group J, we have Argentina, Algeria, we have Austria, and we have Jordan. Now for Group K, Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan, Colombia. And then the last group, Group L, England, Croatia, Ghana, and then of course, Panama, Bobukono, and as Omaino. So these are the 48 teams that bought the World Cup in 3 cities, American established. It's the first time you have a 48 team in this particular World Cup. Now, you're come about Group A. Let me go back and give you the names again. Over Group A, we have Mexico, South Africa, we have South Korea and Czechia. Mexico when you look at Mexico, this is their 18th FIFA World Cup tournament. Mexico a qualifier or kwakobo. Since 1994, Mexico has qualified 9 times continuously and as consecutively into the World Cup Mundial. But when you look at the Mexico team and as a national team, the last time we bought a competitive game when they played in the CONCACAF final against United States of America omutumi ewini. Now when you look at Abakwasam Kakra a Mexico team now, in the last 40 years Mexico team qualifier and conquer the quarter-final stages of the FIFA World Cup. But this time around, Mexico is hosting, as part of the nations, or hosting this particular FIFA World Cup now. And apart from Anase Bibiamono, they would love to cross that 40-year marker or qualify into the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Now, when you look at Mexico, more players in any day, and on any day, they can actually win the games for the Mexico national team. Raúl Jiménez is one of the players, or no, Esinaka in the English Premier League for Fulham. Santiago Jiménez, also one fantastic player. Onusina Kanema, AC Milan Bobokono, and Johan Vasquez of A-Team and Didi Genoa. These are the three players of where the campaigns are. Omutimi Piabiedema, Mexico Bobokono. And if you want to talk about players who make a difference in this particular World Cup for Mexico, clearly Raúl Jiménez of Fulham and Abranchandri Santiago Jiménez of AC Milan. These are two players at Mexico mining in Ano or move focus or Muswa. They are actually players to watch. Now, when you look at the Mexico national team, Akase, even in the last 40 years, the only time, and I said the only position Omedru I had the highest in the last 40 years, I had a round of 16 in the World Cup, which means Mexico mind when it comes to their performance in the World Cup, and Shada Murusu Biasa, because in 40 years, they have never played in the quarterfinals before. And in 40 years, the only level of Marco very high, apart from the group stages, I had a round of 16 games. And if Mexico is playing as a host nation, clearly they would want to make a mark, especially in their first game, to be able to qualify into the round of 16 and of course break the boundary after 40 years of qualifying into the quarterfinals and so be a greater achievement for Mexico minor. Now during and answer on June 11th, 2026, Mexico will be playing against a stubborn side in South Africa, and this reminds me 2010. South Africa, the host team, this particular World Cup competition. The first game was South Africa boy, or when Mexico the boy. I remember South Africa, Abrancha Didi Chabalala scored the goal, and then Rafael Marquez, formerly of Barcelona, equalized for Team and Didi, and that's what mine Didi Mexico. I'm a game in the year 1-1. So this particular encounter is a repeat of the 2010 World Cup, Coco boy in South Africa. In that particular game, 1-1. But this time around, looking at the South African team and looking at this Mexican team and looking at the history back home and what they have done, even in their friendly games and then in their qualifiers, I think that Mexico would want to win this particular game if they want to cement their position in the round of 32 in this particular World Cup. The second team on the table, Group A, South Africa. Now, when you go into the history of South Africa, we are the first and I said we are the fourth World Cup South Africa in their history. Now, since 2010, this is the first time South Africa World Cup. So, Omabako say Omako 4 World Cups. But hosted 2010 World Cup, to represent World Cup games BR. And after 2010, this is the first time South Africa qualify Abababo a year World Cup proper or more falling in Group A. Or mobile a repeat of what happened in 2010 in the first games. Now, South Africa in the qualification, or we need 5 games, a draw 3, a lose 2, or she 15 goals, a concede 9 goals, which means the build up to this particular World Cup, or my manager Didi Hugo Bruce, a idea on also able to because when you look at the Group C, I know he was able to crown that group with 18 points. And I'm no say, or no so etumi ever since I Hugo Bruce Abayano, what you mean about Juma Ediama South Africa, I mean, you almost to qualify after 2010 to join the World Cup Mundial in 3 host nations, and also young Komoka Kra Eba. When you talk about the manager Didi Hugo Bruce, since 2021, or more partners or Mijinamu and farmer the South African national team. I can clearly tell you, say, Wama South Africa about AFCON, a semi-finals, and then again after 16 years, South Africa into me encore World Cup. Hugo Bruce to me the Oma qualifier, and also one of the greatest achievements for Papa Didi Hugo Bruce. One of the things I identical about this South African team going into this particular World Cup, I say our basic na who are didn't be on local players, and that is why when you look at the South African team and the call-ups buyer, only one player. And I repeat, only one player ano no bo gamer and as international player I no see academy Burnley once in the English Premier League that me no ka say omo so ya relegate you na branch here the dean the Foster. When you look at 4 years of Foster Babedi Burnley ni na in this particular season in 26 competitions he was able to score 3 goals and assist 3 times in the English Premier League and no can be then to me Burnley and so echo relegation. When you look at him as a striker in the team, he is the one going to lead. And then our goalkeeper, Didi Williams, also fantastic goalkeeper. He has been in the news for a while. So South Africa, more of a local-based team going on to play this particular World Cup for 16 years. And when you look at games from our boy in the qualifiers and what they were able to do in the AFCON, the recent AFCON in South Africa, in the round of 16, and building upon that, they would want to make a clear statement with the Mundial World Cup. Now, South Africa say one of the teams are the first match on the 11th of June against Mexico in that particular game. But I think with the nature of the Mexican team and being the host nation, Mexico will beat South Africa in that particular encounter. Now, the third team our league table, and I say what's our group and so South Korea or also our group A. Now, when you look at South Korea, we about 12 World Cups in their history. Now, since 1986, Omapko and Asomatima qualified for 11 times consecutively. Now, going to the World Cup, no, yeah, a shadow ding Edema South Korea minor. Now, when you look at our performance in the Asian qualifiers, they played 10 games, no more Group B. Now, 10 games, they were able to win 6 and they were able to draw 4. Oman lose a single game in the Asian qualifiers. 20 goals scored and 7 goals conceded. That should tell you, say, South Korea is one of the teams almost in terms of qualifying for the World Cup proper. No more modern boy any power. Now, who are the key players to watch? South Korea. There were a lot of key players to watch. One is Son Heung-min of Los Angeles FC. He has been there for the team. He's a proper runner, a goal scorer, and the leader of the team. Then we have a branch at the Eddie Kim Min-jae. Or also Esina kan Edema Bamun Chimbobukono. These are the great players of Munina, and so Esia kan Edema Timanidin, and so Eddie South Korea. And of course, you bet to me about branch and the Lee Can In of Paris Saint-Germain. These are players from Betime lead team, no normal so to me at Akwaye. When you look at this World Cup, medical catchers since 1986, South Korea at Waswako 11 times, which means that they know the nature of this particular tournament and with the experience of the players in Son Heung-min, Kim Min-jae, and Lee Kan-in, they can lead the South Korean team into success. I personally do think, sir, when you look at the nature of this group, Obiabe to me qualify by looking at the implementation and their performance. I think that this group will be topped by Air South Korea, then followed by Oman Team, and so the Mexico host nation. Then between South Africa and Czechia, they will battle for the 8 best air place teams. Normal sort to the last team on this particular group is Czechia. Now, when say this is the second World Cup at Czechia as an independent nation. In fact, from 2006, a Couple World Cup in Germany. This is the first World Cup at Czechia to me qualify. Now, in the qualifying process, they were in Group L. Now, Group L, out of a possible 18 points, they were able to play to win 16 points out of a possible 18 points, which should tell you, say, on qualifying performance, because when you have 18 points and you were able to get 16 points of the 18 points, which means that you were very, very, very competitive in the qualifiers. Now, who are the players to watch for Satim We? Abrancha Ndidi Sushek, a player for West Ham United. Unfortunately, after about 14 years at West Ham United, and so a boy English Premier League, the moment to me and Tenema, or more, you relegate you into the championship. Then, of course, Abrancha Patrick Schick, one of the strikers, a Drew Baby, or Jiri Dean, where we are saying a lot of big teams. So when you have Abrancha Sushek as a leader at the back, and Abrancha Patrick Schick as a leader who will also lead the lines in terms of goal scoring, I think that Czechia would have a correct balance. But group now, Nigeria pass, Mexico, now South Korea, South Africa, the only team Czechia, and then the bet me a bang, Oman did South Africa. When you look at South Korea and Oman did Mexico, I do think say Oman ding as so if I'm to predict what I would say is that South Korea will lead the group, and then Mexico will be the second on the table, South Africa will be third, and Czechia will be fourth. South Africa because they are Africans, and I'm rooting for more African teams into this particular World Cup round of 32. So when you look at the Group A teams now, almost strength history and players to watch and then metumi aye ho adwuma enso atumi de mama no. I don't know what cup I will share and I don't really know the World Cup song but for me I think that 2010 World Cup song was the best for me. 10 days more to go into the World Cup and you to meet us group A. Like, subscribe and share live on Ekrom Nsem on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course on TikTok. You know, at a foreign god Maestro, I am your sports landlord. World Cup countdown. Yeah, they buy every single day on Sabeka on your super network. The producer, success money.